As many of you know, I am not usually in the habit of including separate readings before my sermons, so having 4 different readings from 4 different authors before I have even gotten up to say anything may seem like somewhat of an odd choice. What I'm hoping that you heard in the readings for today is not just the 4 different authors, but the 4 different voices and perspectives attached to their words. The reason is because I can think of no better way to illustrate this message, this grand idea of thus do we covenant with each other, that forms the bedrock of our Unitarian Universalist faith expression than the centering of these 4 voices. Whether or not you believe in Jesus as the Christ who sacrificed themselves for the salvation of humankind and overcame death to rise 3 days later on Easter Sunday, or simply as an upstanding example of a human being who reminds us how to live in the world and among others, there is no denying that this is a momentous and important day, not just for our Christian counterparts who are celebrating the story of the resurrection, but also for our neo-pagan and Wicca siblings who are observing Ostara, the spring equinox, from whose Anglo-Saxon origin Eostra we get our modern English word Easter, when light and darkness are again in balance. It is a time of new beginning and of life emerging further from the grips of winter. It is also a time of hope when we can literally see new life in the blossoming of flowers and plants and animals with their newly birthed young becoming visible. It is that same hope that I hear in the reading from Isaiah 25 for today. For me, those are the words I want to hear on Easter Sunday. Not getting hung up or preoccupied on the particulars of did someone actually rise from the dead in 3 days or did they not, but a message of hope from the divine that we will be blessed and provided for. And not just us, but that the shroud that is cast over all peoples and the covering that is spread over all nations will be destroyed. There is actual hope that the end in which all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine are not just pretty words that we say on Sunday morning, but that it could actually be a reality that I am able to see in my lifetime. At its base level, the word covenant means an agreement between 2 people or 2 parties. But for our Puritan forebearers who risked their lives to cross the Atlantic to come to North America seeking an escape from religious persecution in England, it meant that they were in control of how they were able to come together before the divine. There was no monarch or extant religious institution hanging over their shoulder dictating the rules that they were bound to follow. They were able to set their own rules based on their own understandings and their own aspiration of what they believed that their religious assembly should look like. And while their Cambridge platform of church discipline was nowhere near as culturally and theologically diverse as our modern day EU covenants and affirmation statements, theirs was the inspiration that our congregations of today were to follow. As UU minister, author, and theologian Forrest Church was to describe it in his book, The American Creed, we pledge to walk together in the ways of truth and affection as best we know them now or may learn them in the days to come, that we and our children may be fulfilled and that we may speak to the world in words and actions of peace and goodwill. In a sense, these words speak to the ways in which we are seeking to covenant with each other this very day. And as future generations have sought to find their own ways to live into and embody these words, we have expanded the reach of our covenants to include those people and those voices that have not always been invited to walk together with us. And in some cases, may still not always be as welcome as we would like them to be or that they should. Mike Johnson's words echo those of many people that I have heard in UU spaces, and they represent the ways in which individual faith within Unitarian Universalism continues to grow and color and become more nuanced, much like our covenants and affirmation statements. Yet even though one's spiritual journey may take one from mainstream Christianity to paganism to somewhere in between, there is still a longing for the promise of the hope that is present and the questions of what does that look like now? For many of us, including many of us here in this church that I have talked to, we are continuing to ask those questions of ourselves and of our congregations. Where is that hope we want to have? How do we cultivate it as we move forward? Molly Hausch Gordon's words are more dynamic and aspirational. For her, what she finds in the Easter story is a rallying cry to the power of radical love. It is a reminder that the only way to realize the hope that is possible in the message of Easter is to reach out to each other. And if we bind together in that love that is the doctrine of our church, we are a force to be reckoned with that can bring that hope about. It is a reminder of the radical and inclusive faith tradition that we practice and an opportunity to recommit ourselves to the powerful message for which we stand and can change the world for the better. And Emily E. Ewing's message is one of particular joy in the here and now. This year, Easter Sunday is the same day as the Trans Day of Visibility, a day to not only celebrate trans and gender expansive people, but to also truly see their inherent worth and dignity and declare that they have always served a place alongside us to walk in truth and affection and help us realize the future of how we can covenant with each other. Ewing's message also helps to highlight this new inclusive beginning for trans and gender expansive people and the congregations that love and affirm them by illustrating ways that the congregation can move forward and help to create this new beginning. We can become the places of sanctuary, what church has historically always has and supposed to have been for these folks that have not been welcomed in community and covenant to live into the new hope for the future that this day promises. On this Easter Sunday, on this Trans Day of Visibility, on this day of new hope and new possibilities, now that the stones have been literally and figuratively rolled back from the tombs that we have been in, may we walk together and walk forward in the ways of truth and affection as best as we know them now, or as we may learn them in the days to come. And may this intentional, beloved community, richly diverse in culture, theology, and lived experience, be a shining example of the way that we can speak to the world in words and actions of the peace and goodwill that the world so desperately needs. May it ever continue to be so. Blessed be. Amen. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Happy Easter. Thank you all so much.